You know, sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest places. What if I told you the entire world of software development was flipped on its head by just 6 words? That's what we're talking about today, a revolution that started with a single, simple message. Yep, this is it, the tweet that started it all. February 2025. AI legend Andrej Karpathy just drops this on the world. Fully give in to the vibes. 6 words. And, at the time, people were like, what does that even mean? Is he joking? But nope. This little tweet, it was the spark, the match that lit an absolute bonfire in the tech world. So what is this vibe coding he's talking about? Well, it's actually pretty simple on the surface, but the implications are huge. Basically, you just describe what you want your software to do in plain, normal language, and an AI generates the actual functional code for you. The key thing to get here is how the developer's role just completely shifts. You stop being a coder who types out every single line, and you become more of an architect or a prompter. You're guiding the AI, not doing the grunt work. And listen, this isn't some small, quirky trend for early adopters. No way. We're talking about a massive, industry-wide shift. As of right now, a staggering 92%. 92% of US developers are using this method every single day. I mean, that's just breathtaking adoption. It's almost everyone.
And it's not just that they're using it, it's what's being produced. Look at GitHub, the heart of the coding world. Right now, nearly half, 46% of all new code being submitted is AI generated. That's a direct result of this whole vibe coding thing just exploding.
You know something's a big deal when it breaks out of the tech bubble, right? Well, that's exactly what happened here. The impact was so huge that Collins Dictionary, yeah, the dictionary, named vibe coding its 2025 word of the year. It literally became part of our language.
Okay, so those numbers are pretty wild, right? It paints a picture of a total explosion. But the big question is, how? How did we get here so incredibly fast? How does a single tweet become a global industry standard in like 2 years? That's what we're going to dig into first.
All right, so let's trace this whole thing back. Because an idea this big doesn't just appear out of thin air. It started as a tiny seed, something planted a few years before that big tweet. And honestly, back then, it sounded more like a joke than a real prediction. So let's see how it went from punchline to global standard. And here's that seed. We have to go back to 2023. Karpathy says this: English is the hottest new programming language. And people pretty much laughed. The thought that you could just talk to a computer instead of writing Python or JavaScript, it felt like pure science fiction. But here's the thing. He wasn't joking. He was just way ahead of the curve. So look at how fast this all happened. 2023, you have that English quote that everyone kind of dismissed. Then, boom, February 2025, the Vibes tweet drops and the name is born. By spring of that same year, online searches for vibe coding shot up almost 7,000%. It was a wildfire. By fall, it's the word of the year, and now, here we are in 2026, living in what you could call its golden age. This, for me, is the real tipping point. The moment you knew the game had changed for good. December 2025. Karpathy, the guy who started it all, publicly says his own work has completely flipped. He went from writing 80% of the code himself with 20% AI help to just 20% human coding and 80% AI. When the creator himself makes that switch, you know the revolution is here to stay. Okay, so it's popular, it's fast, everyone's doing it. Great. But what's it really like to work this way every single day? We've got to look at the data, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The picture is a bit more complicated. Is it faster? Yeah. But is it also messier? Let's find out. Naturally, an entire ecosystem of tools has just popped up around this. You've got things like Cursor, which is kind of your all-purpose tool. Then you have heavy hitters like Google's AI Studio, which can literally build a whole backend for your app. And for the front end, things like V0 by Vercel let you prototype user interfaces at lightning speed. And the results? I mean, the productivity gains are just undeniable. Developers are pushing out code almost twice as often as before. And get this, the amount of code in each of those pushes has tripled. The raw output is just, it's off the charts. But, and this is a big but, here's the other side of that coin, the trade-off.
All that speed comes at a price. We're seeing a 30% jump in code that has to be thrown out and redone. And it's taking people 40% longer to actually review the code the AI spits out. So, yeah, we're moving way faster, but it seems like we're also spending a lot more time cleaning up the mess.
And these aren't just little messes, they have real, serious consequences. First up, security. Audits are showing that AI-generated code has about as many security holes as code written by a junior developer. That is a huge problem. We're also seeing bug rates creep up, especially if teams get lazy with the reviews. And maybe the scariest part? There's this growing fear that developers are, well, they're losing their touch. They don't understand the code at a deep level anymore because they didn't write it. That over-reliance is a serious danger.
So this all leads to probably the most important question of all. What about the people? What does this mean for the actual human developers? Because this revolution, it's not just about changing how we write code, it's changing the coder.
The really crucial thing to grasp here is that the skills that matter most aren't about remembering the right syntax anymore. It's all about strategy. Like prompt engineering, that's not just asking a question, it's becoming an expert communicator with an AI. It's an art. Reviewing AI code, you're basically a detective looking for clues the AI missed. And things like architecture design and product thinking, that's all about having the big picture vision. You're the director, not just an actor reading lines. These are the new core skills.
And where there are new skills, there's new money. New jobs are popping up with titles like AI Code Architect or Vibe Coding Specialist. And trust me, these aren't just fluffy titles. They come with huge salaries, and companies are desperate to hire for them. For anyone looking to get into tech today, this is key. The goal isn't to be the best coder anymore. It's to be the best AI collaborator. Okay, so that's the world we're living in today. But we all know this train is not slowing down. So what's next? Where is all of this going in, say, the next 5 or 10 years? Let's talk about the next frontier. The predictions for 2030 are, frankly, mind-blowing. Experts are saying that 80% of all code will be AI-generated. Think about what that means. It could cut development costs by 70%. It could make building new products 10 times faster. But here's the other shoe dropping. It could also mean a 50% drop in demand for traditional junior developer jobs. That is a seismic shift for the entire job market. And the name for this next big step is Agent Tech Engineering. The idea is pretty wild. The AI stops being a tool you talk to and becomes an autonomous agent, a project manager. It'll take your initial idea and just run with it. It'll design the system, write the code, test it, and even deploy it live. The whole shebang from start to finish. And that brings us right back to where we started with Andrej Karpathy. He recently said this, and it just perfectly sums up where we're headed. We're on the cusp of an era where ideas will be made real at the speed of light. See, we're moving past just making code faster. We're heading into a future where the distance between having an idea and seeing it come to life could become zero. It could be instantaneous, which leaves us with one final massive question. What are we going to build when we can build literally anything in an instant?